Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to today's webinar. I'm Lisa Johnson, the Senior Program Manager in Healthcare for Everbridge. And today I am very happy to be talking with Amy Bonin from who will be talking about streamlining clinical staff scheduling and her specific experiences with Everbridge. Okay, we are going to cover some early logistics and introductions, and then we're going to go into the presentation itself, which is going to define the staffing problem at hospitals today, evaluating some solutions, implementing a new communication platform and what that entails, early results from introducing Everbridge, and then how the office is working today, several months later, and then lessons learned throughout the entire process. I'd like right now to introduce Amy. Amy has worked for Oregon State Hospital for almost 6 years. She began her career in the hospital as a scheduler in the staffing office, so she truly understands staffing needs from the ground up. Her career has expanded into management, and she now runs the centralized timekeeping office. During the transition to Everbridge, she oversaw the staffing office as well and helped to bring Everbridge in and evaluate the system. Welcome, Amy.
Hi, thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you, everybody, for joining me today. As Lisa had mentioned, I actually started my career with the hospital as a scheduler, so I truly can understand the perspective from a scheduler and the struggles that we all have had. I'm sure you guys can relate to them as well. We're just going to talk about our process and how we have had some struggles and what Everbridge has done to help us. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And I do have to apologize. I am fighting a little bit of a cold today, so sorry about the scratchy voice. So here at the Oregon State Hospital, we actually are a 24-hour facility. Our centralized staffing office is also a 24-hour office that's open 365 days a year. We are responsible for scheduling for all of our nursing units. So that consists of 7 nursing programs. And we have everybody from civil commit clients to guilty except for insanity clients. We have our elderly population who is in here possibly for dementia. So we have a wide variety of clients that we work with. So for our scheduling, our different programs, there's 7 of them, but that actually contains 29 units. So each unit, we're trying to staff anywhere from 5 to 15 staff to try to staff those units. We have over 1,100 nursing staff. We also have relief pool and our contracted agency staff. So they are there to kind of help fill in the gaps. But what we are challenged with, and I think probably most hospitals are, is that we have difficulty filling just daily vacancies, and our vacancy rate usually hovers around 20% or more on a daily basis and on a weekly basis. So we also have multiple shifts here at the hospital, so they range from an 8-hour shift all the way up to a 13-hour and 20-minute shift. And then in addition to that, we actually have 3 different bargaining agreements or contracts, if you're familiar with that terminology. So there's certain ways that you have to staff in a certain order. So those are kind of just some of the little bit of a barrier. A contract can be a barrier at times. The process for filling vacancies before Everbridge, we have on each shift, we have 3 to 4 schedulers, and they were spending literally the majority of their shift, about 4 or 5 hours, manually calling as many people as they could. We had a manual list of people that we were our go-to people, and we knew that they would actually pick up the phone and say, yeah, I'm willing to work. So we would have them calling as many people as they can, and unfortunately, we just didn't have a lot of results. The funny picture to the left is Groundhog's Day, because that's really what it felt like. You pick up the phone, you wait for it to ring, you hope that it links to a voicemail. Voicemail is full, you can't leave a message. Hang up, it's Groundhog's Day all over again. You have to call somebody else, repeat your spiel, and it just kind of went on and on and on. Because of all the time that the schedulers were spending doing cold calling or trying to call as many people as they could, just the general office functions weren't getting done. So our reports weren't getting completed, certainly not in a timely fashion. Our staffing, we weren't able to ever look past today's hot fire. We got to find staffing for the next shift that starts in 3 hours. So we never had the opportunity to look at what's happening next Tuesday, what's happening 2 weeks from now. So it seemed like we could never get past that current day. But even with all the efforts that they were doing, we just didn't have good results. I mean, we were lucky if we got one or two people hired at all, and that's with three or four people calling, 50 to 100 people just trying to get anybody to work. And in the extreme cases, units actually have ran down. Our nurse management would come in and work on the units just so that we would have a nurse in place to take care of our clientele. So some pretty desperate situations have happened, and thankfully with Everbridge, we've gotten everything done. So it's getting much better. With happening so many different schedules, it's very difficult. Sometimes we have a gap in our coverage. So you have somebody who can only work 6 hours. Now you need somebody to fill in that gap for 2 or 3 hours. Again, we were going off of that. Who can we call? Who's the one who will pick up the phone every single time and say, yeah, I'm willing to work a couple of hours. And that's really difficult, especially in a hospital environment. You would think 2 hours isn't that much time to cover, but when you're dealing in any nursing field, it's very important that you have all of your required staff to take care of your clientele and patients. So now we're able to do some customization and target specific groups of people who have said, yeah, I'm interested for a couple of hours. Um, it was always difficult to try to call everyone, and honestly, it was a team morale killer. And it's difficult doing that Groundhog's Day mode of you're just repeating yourself over and over and over, and you're not getting any results. And the schedulers were very overwhelmed, very stressed out. And I mean, they have a very good sense of pride for the job that they were doing, and it just made them feel bad that they couldn't find the coverage that was required by our nursing. Um, I was approached for talking about Everbridge just more kind of as a liaison for our emergency management side of the hospital. And as soon as I got into the meeting, they said, well, you do staffing and scheduling. We need to talk to you about that. So it was kind of like a dream come true sense of a feeling from me. And everything they were telling me, I was like, that possibly cannot possibly happen. They can't promise me all of this um, and actually get results. But I was so surprised that everything they talked about, all the promises of we can make it easier for you, we have better solutions, it actually was 100% true. And I'm kind of a skeptic most of the time. And somebody tells you we can fix all your problems, and you really have to ask yourself, can you? Can you really fix all of my problems? And I would say that with Everbridge, they did not overpromise anything. That was what was really fascinating to me, is that everything that they said they could do, they did, all the way down to the support. And I'll get into that in the next couple of slides. But they promised something, and they absolutely delivered. So on the planning and implementation of Everbridge, we had Doug Deering come out to the Oregon State Hospital. And again, I had no idea what to expect. I was just told, you guys are going to get this great system. And we've had a couple of meetings, but it was real techie talk, and I don't really understand techie talk. That's not my specialty. So a lot of the pre-work, I was kind of lost. And Doug came in and said, let's just simplify this. And we sat down in a room and talked literally about what are the struggles, what am I trying to achieve, how do we do our staffing now, what are the needs on the unit. And he really listened to everything. He showed me how to do all of the customization, which I thought was really fascinating. Sometimes when you implement a new system or a software, you have somebody who comes in and they sit down and they do all the work for you, and then they go away and you don't know how to do anything. That was not the case when Doug was here. He actually sat down and he put me at the computer and said, okay, this is what you're going to do. He picked up real quickly on my learning style that I want to be independent. I want to be able to rely on myself and not have to call customer service, because oftentimes we're in a pinch and I have to fix something myself. So Doug actually showed me how to do all of the customization, setting up our custom groups, setting up our notification templates. So I felt really empowered that he was there and I could lean on him for support, but he wasn't doing it for me. He actually taught me how to do things. Here at the hospital, we have multiple different types of disciplines. So we have registered nurses, LPNs or licensed practicing nurses. I know different states call them something different, but the acronym is LPN. Then we also have our mental health technicians. And within that, we have people who are licensed, such as a CNA or a CMA, and then we also have our non-licensed caregivers. So we really needed something to customize the group that we were trying to target. So if I was only looking for an RN, I don't want to send a broadcast out to 1,100 people because I don't need an LPN or I didn't need that mental health technician. I only needed an RN. So we were able to customize groups and customize a template that was very specialized to just our RNs. And then you can see in the upper left-hand corner of the presentation, I have a couple of templates there. So for RN overtime, I was able to actually create my own message. It's in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen that could say I'm looking specifically for a nurse for this unit for this time frame and really target and narrow down our search, which is really nice because now we're not wasting everybody's time. We're really just getting that specialized group. We're currently working on creating some additional specific groups so we can drill it down even further if we have people who we know only want to work this gap coverage of a shift and they only want to work like 3 hours to fill in a gap. We're trying to customize that feature as well. We'll be further streamlining the processes even further as we create more of these customized templates and customized groups. Like I said, we have 1,100 staff, and everybody's very unique. They have a very um, special type of job that they're doing. So if we have somebody in our geriatric unit, that's a special clientele for us. That's a special skill set that is needed. So we wouldn't want to send a message out to all of our nursing staff because they may not be qualified to work in that area of our hospital or facility. So we are working on doing some more customization for that. What is beautiful about the customized notifications or templates is that it's just a click one and done for your scheduler. I've customized all of the templates, so all they have to do is just hit the go button. It's that's the easy button. They click what they want to use. Maybe they're doing it for a daily overtime vacancy. They literally can just click on one box and deploy a message because I've customized all that for them. And it's extremely easy to do that. I'm not a real tech savvy person. I wouldn't say that I'm a computer programmer by any means, but even I can figure out how to do the templates. I was pleasantly surprised at how easy it is to use. In the monitoring and reporting section, we have found it extremely helpful to view our dashboard here in the staffing office. We have, when we deploy a message, we actually have a very large display TV that anywhere in the office you can see it. I think it's like a 60-inch TV that hangs up in the corner, and it's really nice because up on the left-hand corner of the display, you can see one of the dashboard graphs and it will tell you how many people we are sending this message out to. And I have customized the responses. There's different types of messages that you can send out. So you can send out a message that's just a standard message, and it would say, "Hi, we need help today. Please give us a call." Or you can send out a polling message. And the polling option, I think, is personally for staffing and scheduling one of the best things that you can use. It allows you to customize what you want their answers to be. So in my case, I customized it to say, press 1 if you're available to work overtime. Press 2 if you're not available. And we always give our employees the option to opt out of these overtime calls. What that does is that when they press 1 on their phone, or if by email, there are the Everbridge app that you can actually download. We don't have that turned on just yet. But there's multiple different ways. I mean, I think there was like 29 different avenues that you can send out a message to. If you wanted to be really tech savvy, I think you can actually do Twitter. So we kept it pretty basic and said, let's text people, call people, and send them an email. But when they select yes, that I want to work, on the upper left-hand corner of the display, you'll see that it says there's 5 people. What's really nice about that is that now your schedulers aren't going to be running around saying, where's my go-to list? Who do I call? You have 5 people telling you, call me, I want to work. So you just click on the little maroon button that says, yes, I'm available, and it opens up a little simple spreadsheet and gives you the list of the employees' names. That way you know who you actually want to call. Um, Everybody is automatically enrolled into Everbridge with us. That's just the decision that we made to do. It surprisingly has been a fantastic thing that we did by doing it that way, because what we found was people who were calling were people that we wouldn't normally have talked to, because they weren't on our go-to list. So you can see again on the upper left-hand corner, when I sent this out, we were still waiting for 664 more people to confirm that they received the message. I mean, honestly, could you imagine if you had to call 664 people? It would take you days and days and days to try to get that done with full staff. Everbridge, you click a button, and within 10 seconds, you are deploying a message to 1,000 people or however big your groups are. So it's an amazing time saver, and it really narrows down your search to who really wants to be called. Um, the schedulers will manually update the Everbridge profile to just a contact page. So if an employee says they don't want to be called for overtime, we can easily go into their contact and just uncheck mark a box that says okay to call for overtime. That's something that we customize, because we all know that not everybody wants to receive a phone call about overtime on a daily basis sometimes. Um, so it's a very easy way for us just to uncheck it. They don't ever get a call again. However, if they want to be put back into that pool, then they can just give us a call back and we check mark the box and they'll start receiving messages again. The reporting and statistics are really fantastic. When I was talking to Lisa with Everbridge, I kind of had to laugh at some of these graphs and statistics, because my direct report is the CFO of the Oregon State Hospital, and being in the financial area, he wants to see graphs and all this statistical data, and Everbridge makes me look really, really good. It makes me look like I know how to do some fancy, fancy work. I don't do any of this. I click a button that says give me a report, and Everbridge will spit out pie graphs for you. There's a million different options with how you can do the reporting, and you can do some custom reports. We have found them very, very helpful to kind of find out how are people wanting to be receive their messages. Are they more likely to respond to a voicemail versus a text message? Are they more likely to respond to an email than a phone call? Um, and it's really helpful for us to kind of narrow down how our communication is going to be. We've been doing this, I think, since August, maybe the end of July, and we're gathering quite a bit of great information. And I know for anybody who's done scheduling in the past, you always have somebody who says, "You never called me. If you would have called me, I would have come in." Well, now with the reports that you have, you can drill down a report and find my name and say, okay, no, Amy, we called you on this date at this time, and it says that you picked up the phone and hung up. Or it will drill it all the way down saying that it left a voicemail. So you have that ability to really drill down on the reports to get the information that you're looking for. If you're just looking for a high level of how many people did we reach, how many people did we not reach, it has that feature for you, and it's already built in, so you don't have to do a whole lot of configurations yourself. Um, for the managers, we have found the reports to be very helpful for that statistical data, and oftentimes I'll get called to a meeting and say, hey, what happened yesterday? Well, we deployed a message, we called 452 people, we were only able to get 20. I mean, come on, in the staffing world, nobody's going to be upset that you can only find 20 people. That's amazing compared to finding one or two people. So the statistics and the reports are really fantastic. And again, you don't have to do a whole lot of hard work with it. It's already done for you. This is another detailed report, just a sample. Again, talking about how many times we have tried to call somebody. You can set up Everbridge to do repeats on it. So if you don't get a response from, say you make a standard of you want 20 people. If you don't get a response from 20 people in a half an hour, then you can redeploy the message. Like, you can keep sending it out over and over if you want to. I wouldn't recommend sending out a report over and over, but it's something that you are only going to know what your staff like to hear. So with this report, you can see in the second section where it says attempt not confirmed. What that means is that just because you're sending out an email, they actually have to they can hit a button on their phone or on their computer. They can say, yes, I'm confirming this message. So just because you see a not confirmed doesn't mean it didn't receive the message. You can also see where it says connected to machine or machine delivered. So we're saying that we left 382 voicemails for somebody, and the voicemails, I think I forgot to mention earlier, are customized by you. So you can record your own voice so it's more personalized, or you can have it be computer generated, but I have chosen to use myself. I have left all the voicemails on the template, so it's just very easy and more personable that way. Our success story is kind of funny. I was telling Lisa about this too, is that it would have been really interesting if we had a camera in the building watching us deploy our first message for Everbridge. It was so exciting because Doug had worked with me for about a week. I think he was here for 5 days. And we were thinking, you know what, it's time. We need help for the weekend, so we're going to send out our very first message. And we did. It was a lot of fun. I had the schedulers who were here come into the conference room because that's where our scheduling was, or where we were trying to do Everbridge. And I said, okay, let's do a countdown. And I clicked on the template. We counted down, 3, 2, 1, sent it. And then we all run over to the staffing office so we could see the phones start lighting up. And it was instantaneous. I mean, the phones were going off the hook. Like, if we've never had phone calls like that. Within 5 minutes, we had signed up 3 people to work multiple shifts. What that means is that I had 3 people who were wanting to work 1 or more shifts. And for us, that was huge because we never had the opportunity to say, hey, hi, can you do overtime today? We never got to. And what other overtimes are you interested over the next couple of weeks? This has allowed us to say, please call us for overtime. Let us know what you're available for. And we had instantaneous results. Within 20 minutes, we had signed up about 10 people for multiple shifts. When it all kind of died down, it was about 3 hours before the phones really stopped ringing. I actually had to call other people in to help answer the phones. We had reached over 900 staff and hired about 40 shifts of overtime. And that was just over a 2-week period. With our contracts, we can only distribute overtime every 2 weeks. So this was a huge success for one message. Um, One of the most surprising things about this was that this is when the people who we would normally not call, who were calling us saying, hey, what's this about? I would love to work overtime in nursing. We found that really interesting because we have areas here at the hospital that are maybe our medical clinics. Those are different from our nursing units, and we would have our dental clinic where we might still have an RN working in the dental clinic and never knew that she could work in the nursing area because she was from a different area of the hospital. And so it's really broadened our pool of people that are interested in working, and it's giving them an opportunity to do something different here at our facility. So widening our pool of staff has been amazing. We're getting, it's so much easier to fill shifts when you have more people who you're reaching. So very exciting resource to have. Our new processes are we've chosen to send out on a weekly basis. We send out on Mondays a forecast of our vacancies. And what that is that we put up a simple Excel sheet that shows all the vacancies on all the units through our distributed overtime period. So again, we can only distribute overtime per our contract every 2 weeks. So on Mondays, we send out a forecast showing all of the nursing staff. These are where the holes are, and if you're interested, give us a call. We would have never had the opportunity to do that before. Before Everbridge, we were looking at the shift starts in 2 hours. What are we going to do? And maybe we could look at the next shift. But we never had that opportunity to say, let's look at what's going on 2 weeks from now. How can we be proactive with our staffing and our planning? And this is the answer for us. So every Monday we send out a forecast, and if we're fully staffed, fantastic. We're still going to send that out so people can understand what it's going to look like for them. We do, again, set that up as a polling message so they can select yes if they are interested to be called, or no, they're not interested. And again, with the polling, those are completely customizable to you. So if you are um, trying to do something very specific for your hospital or your dental office, I mean, Everbridge would work for any scheduling. So just know that what I have customized is going to be very different from how you set yours up. But this is a great feature with the polling. I mean, you literally can say whatever you want. I'm going to be broadening our horizon a little bit with Everbridge, with our emergency management site, and then as well as my timekeeping office will be utilizing this in different ways. So definitely we'll be using polling for that customization. We can now staff a couple of weeks ahead instead of putting out the daily fires. And I think anybody in the staffing world understands that there's always going to be a no call, no show. There's always going to be something that happens at the at the end of your shift where you think you have everything in line, everybody's going to show up, and then 5 minutes into the shift, somebody hasn't shown up, so now you have to find somebody. Everbridge, we can deploy that message and say we have an immediate need. You can set the urgency so it will actually come across saying you are receiving an urgent message from the Oregon State Hospital. So again, another customization that you can do. We have options in the polling, again, that they can always opt out. I think it's important to know that sometimes we can overuse a new toy, and that's kind of what Everbridge is for us, is a brand new shiny toy, and so we want to use it a lot for a lot of different things. But your staff will actually kind of wear out on that a little bit, and that's what some of the feedback we have received is, why am I receiving so many calls? So I just let those staff know that they can always opt out of it, especially if they're going to be on an extended leave, or maybe they're going to be on vacation for a month if they're lucky enough to do that, and they don't want to receive a message. So they can always opt out of that and then call us later and say, I'm back to work. Please go ahead and put me back on that list. All ties into the communication. So lessons learned. I would really have to say overall, I mean, it was an amazing experience. The support up front and behind the scenes from Everbridge is really top notch. Everybody's extremely friendly, very, very patient with me. Again, I'm not a computer programmer. I'm a worker bee, and I like to be hands-on, and my learning style is hands-on. And so everything and everybody that I talk to, even now having an account manager that I talk to over the phone, they completely really listen to you and find out how are you doing things, how are you best going to learn to be self-sufficient. And that was one of the things that was very, very impressive with Everbridge is just having that support and having them here on site, which is an option that you can always ask for. I don't know that they do it for everybody, but I let them know that that's something that I needed, and they were able to accommodate me. I wish that we would have set up more of the custom groups during the initial development, but the more I got to thinking about it is you don't know how you're going to use Everbridge until you start using it. We set up a lot of our core groups, again, talking about the RNs or our MHTs, but as we start using it, we're thinking of other ways that we can use it. We're thinking about other customized groups. So I don't think that you'd be able to fully set everything up, because as you use it, you begin to evolve and then your creativity gets to going. So it's something that if you get that upfront independence and that support from Everbridge where they're going to teach you how to do it, you can make the custom groups yourself. They're very, very simple to do. I would say the biggest lesson learned, though, was we didn't have a solid communication plan in place, which I think is more of a failure on my part and the hospital's part. Was I was so excited to get it going and then just sent out the message, but I didn't tell any of our staff that, hey, there's going to be a new way that we're going to communicate with you. We just didn't share that. It was more of an afterthought. And when we deployed that message and got people saying, what is this? Why didn't you tell us about it? It really dawned on me, and Doug thankfully was there going, oh my gosh, we didn't do a communication plan. There was no campaign. So he actually was able to find a couple of brochures, and I was able to quickly get it over to our marketing team and get that communicated after the fact. But I think to do it over again, I would highly recommend that you spend at least a good month of just kind of getting people excited about it, hang posters up, send an email, and, just try to get the communication piece out, because it is a really great program to use, and it's been highly successful. And I think our employees, they appreciate it because now they know they're going to get a call just when there's a need, and they're going to have time to plan. And I think that's probably the biggest piece of this too, is especially with sending out the forecast on Mondays, is now staff can kind of plan around their personal life and say, okay, I'm going to be working overtime next Tuesday, so I'm not going to make plans that day. In the staffing world, you call somebody and they'll always tell you, if you just would have called me an hour ago, I could have worked. You hang up and you start all over again, try to get to the next person because you're doing things last minute. So with this, it allows you to really reach out to your staff and your employees and get their input with it as well. So thankfully, again, Doug came to the rescue at the very last minute and said, I've got something for you. We were able to get it customized. So lesson learned there. But I mean, honestly, overall, if that's the worst thing that happened, I mean, it was a very smooth transition. I really can't say anything poor about it other than the communication plan, but that's not something that I would have put on Everbridge. They actually have some great material that you can use that kind of as a springboard to what you want to do. But that's something that I should have done myself. I just got all excited in the moment and forgot that whole planning part. Okay, well, that was my presentation. I hope you guys all got something out of it. If anything, you guys got a little bit of a laugh at it.
I want to thank Amy so much for coming today and sharing your story and talking about everything from, the situation you had before the communication platform came on board and how you're executing today. Before we get to all of the questions, and definitely I see a few coming in already, keep them coming. I do want to go over the Everbridge Critical Communication Platform. Many people do know us as a mass notification system. That's what most hospitals use us for these days. But what a lot of people are finding is that it's very easy to give Everbridge a day job. So in this case, scheduling and helping with clinical replacements. We have all kinds of clinical communications in place. You can talk to incoming ambulances and do medical consults while the patient is coming into the emergency department. We have an entire solution for IT operations, so if your EMR system ever comes down, we decrease the mean time to know so that repairs can be done more quickly and the system can get back online more quickly. And then, of course, safety and security, which is really everything from a mass casualty event in your community to perhaps an active shooter or something more benign like a snowstorm or something really crazy like Hurricane Matthew. During Hurricane Matthew last month, we had over 900 businesses, hospitals, state and local agencies use the Everbridge platform, and what we're finding is we're getting this network effect where, because everybody's on our platform, the communication is speeded up even more, and communication is sent more quickly to the community, but also through groups speaking and coordinating to each other during an event like a hurricane. So the one thing that we do want to stress is that good communication is good medicine. We even have a t-shirt. If you're interested in a t-shirt, let me know. I'm at lisa.johnson@everbridge.com, and I can make sure that you get one. And we're going to switch over to questions right now, but if you do have any additional questions for me or for Amy, you can send them to my email address up on the screen. If you're interested in a demo of the scheduling platform and how it could work for your facility, you can do that as well. So going to the first question. So for those of us who already have Everbridge, do you have cheat sheets for setting up utilization of the system for purposes like this? And that's from Tania. And yes, we do. So we have something called Everbridge University, and it is an entire certification program, but it's also a very large resource center. There is just about anything you would need would be in there if you want to do it yourself. We also do have a professional services branch where you can have somebody like Doug come into your facility and walk you through the process. So you can do it very hands-on yourself, or you can work with us to implement it and have somebody there for you every step of the way.
I will also mention when you're building a template, it's when you click on new notification template, it will actually, I think it actually highlights the boxes that you need to click on to customize. So if you've forgotten something, it won't let you complete it. You won't be stuck with something that you did that's not completed. But the Everbridge University is where I go quite frequently if I forgot how to do something, and it's very user-friendly.
Oh, that's very good to hear, Amy. Good. And then I have a question directly for you. So it's about setting up the groups. And sort of what was your process for figuring out what groups you wanted to set up? And then the follow-up to that is how long did it take you to get the groups up and running?
So for the groups, and it's going to sound very silly, but it started out with literally post-it notes of people that we used to call. And when I say that we just had our go-to list. We really did have a list of people who we said, okay, I know I can call these 6 RNs and they will work anytime. So it started out very rudimentary that way, but we also looked at um, we have a different staffing and scheduling system as a whole called API. And so we were able to say, okay, in our existing system, I want to get a list of all of my RNs. And so I was able to pull a list of all of my RNs and directly transfer that with the help of my technology department. We directly transferred that grouping into Everbridge. And to create a group, it is a matter of 3 clicks. They come over in this download that transfers over everybody's names and their departments and their profile. And then from there, you literally can just take it and say, I want to move these people into the group of RNs. So time-wise to create a group, maybe less than 5 minutes. It really just depends. I mean, the sky's the limits with the group. So you can, when I say it's customizable, you can create whatever grouping you want. So if you only want to maybe target staff who are on day shift, you can create just a day shift thing. So the customization piece of it is really going to depend on, or the time is going to depend on how much you want to customize it.
Okay, great. And you actually answered the next question that we had, which was how do you import the names? So thank you.
Yeah, and that's something
then,
I would say you'd probably want to work with your technology department. I know that ours comes over. I want to say that it started out as an Excel sheet, but usually your technology service department can help you with that. In fact, I know when we were doing the setup of Everbridge, I did an import myself, and it was just a file that we took off of one of our databases, and I literally just clicked a button that said transfer, and it just transferred over. So me not being techie at all, I was able to do it. I didn't understand what I was doing, but it brought it over.
That's what engineering is for.
Yeah.
I think we have one final question for today, and it's, now that the system has been in place for a few months and your staff have gotten used to it, what kind of feedback are you hearing from them now about the platform and how it's working for them?
Yeah, from the actual schedulers themselves, it's a sense of relief, honestly, and they're able to. We have a lot of lean processes. I'm not sure if everybody understands the lean concept, but everything we do here at the hospital is trying to improve or streamline a process, and that's one of the things. Time saving wise has been amazing. We have, we're before we had 3 or 4 people literally on the phone doing nothing but dialing the phone, having that Groundhog Day effect. And now they're able to not do that. They're able to deploy their message, look up on our display and say, I have to call 5 people or get the incoming phone calls. And now they can really focus on that forecast staffing, and they can really troubleshoot with the nursing management and say, okay, hey, you know what, next Wednesday is not looking good. I wouldn't let anybody have that time off. So they're able to, they have the time to do their job more effectively and more efficiently because they're not on the phone trying to chase people around.
Okay, and we actually did get one more question sneaking in, and it's a good one. Thank you, Robert.
Oh.
So assuming you've had all shifts fulfilled, do you have a solution to let those personnel who have not responded know that they are no longer needed?
Absolutely. With the Everbridge message, you can hit a stop button, and it will actually stop the broadcast. And you can also do a follow-up message. So just like you had the template, or for example, let me back up a little bit. So you can set parameters on your messages. So if you are only looking for 5 vacant positions, you're going to send it out to, for us, 1,100 people. But I can set a parameter saying that the first 5 people to hit yes are going to get a phone call. Everybody else are going to get a default message that says, thank you for your interest. We will call you if additional vacancies are available. So you have the ability to stop a message like immediately, and it will stop deploying it. You have the ability to rebroadcast a message. You have the ability to have a response to it saying, thank you for your interest, we'll be in contact. So there's lots of features that you can do to monitor that. And again, you have the reports to show you. But if you have that visual display app, you can immediately see, okay, your first 5 people. What I recommend being a previous scheduler is you never want to stop at 5. I would rather be overstaffed by a couple and have that cushion than to not have enough people. So for us, we actually set a broadcast level of 100, and I don't think we've ever had 100 people say, yes, they're interested in working. That would be a beautiful day in staffing. Um, but that way it gives you the opportunity to call those folks back, because just because they don't have something available today, I might have something available tomorrow. So you're able to do that projection staffing. But to answer the original question, yes, you can stop it.
That's fantastic. I didn't even know that. So thank you for teaching me
Oh.
something about Everbridge today.
It's Amy University.
It is. It's Amy University. So again, I would just thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your story. When you sent your initial email in to us telling us about your early results, there were a lot of people that were, almost in tears, and pom-poms were out and the whole bit. So it was great to hear your success story. For all of the attendees, we will be sharing the slides with you in a few days, as well as a recording of the video. We're also going to be including a couple of resources, including the rollout communications that Amy talked about, ways that you can let your staff know that this is coming. And that is going to be all for today. We do offer webinars on a regular basis, so please check everbridge.com and our resource buttons for any upcoming webinars. And Amy, one more time, thank you so much, and we will see everybody soon.